Welcome to the discussion this afternoon on the technology solutions for the coronavirus. And technology can provide an accelerated recovery from the coronavirus pandemic. And this road to recovery is paved with the solutions for healthcare, industrial, and commercial facilities. New or newly applied products and processes will make us safer than social distancing. In terms of air cleanliness, the healthcare industry is where the semiconductor industry was decades ago. It took a lot more than social distancing to improve air cleanliness from ambient air levels, which average about 500,000 particles per cubic foot in a relatively clean city, down to just 1 particle per cubic foot, and those are less than 0.03 microns in a semiconductor plant, for instance. By contrast, the best hospital operating rooms, and there are very few of them that do so, are achieving about 10 particles per cubic foot. And most areas of hospitals are closer to the 500,000 particles per cubic foot. So this program encompasses the PPE, or the personal protective equipment, such as masks, gloves, gowns, intelligent wearables. It includes the entry processes such as foot sanitizers and air showers, temperature scanners, and decontamination and mask exchange. And a lot of these technologies are common in the cleanroom industry. For instance, the air showers. There are hospitals in Wuhan that have been analyzed in the advent of the coronavirus. And it was found, for instance, that the rooms in which the medical personnel changed clothes had high levels of airborne viruses. So these are the types of things that in reverse are done by the cleanroom industry, where you go from street clothes into cleanroom clothes, and you do so within an air shower. And there's a high awareness of the potential for the clothes themselves to be a problem. And decontamination and mask exchange, of course, would be another big area right now. And the facility processes, there's HVAC, local air purifiers, and monitoring. And things like local air purifiers are needed when your HVAC system, even though it might have a HEPA filter, it might be temperature sensitive, and so it's coming on and off based on temperature rather than on keeping, say, 12 air exchanges an hour in every room. So what we really need is a Silobuster program to utilize all this cleanroom technology. And not only cleanroom technology, there's lots of technology developed for air pollution, air filtration, occupational health and safety, and clean rooms, which can be used immediately. The problem is that much of the world's most useful technologies are contained in silos. A Silobuster program is needed to make this technology available for the COVID-19 battle. There is new and convincing evidence that a major transmission route is through the air. Aerosols smaller than 5 microns are traveling long distances. This finding obsolesces much of the advice previously given on how to prevent further spread. However, this silo busting by industry, technology, and country is going to help us make a safe recovery in spite of the daunting problem of airborne transmission. So we are basically coming up with important insights for purchasers, governments, consultants, and suppliers, and it's all tied together. The market for the suppliers is determined by what the needs of the purchasers are, and governments and consultants need to be aware of all the available new technologies which can help solve the problem. So there is an avalanche of information which is becoming available on the use of new or newly applied technologies. The McIlvaine Company makes information and analysis of these technologies available. Every day we have a 10 to 20 page daily alert. Subscribers receive the latest alert each day, but then they can search back through previous issues on the Coronavirus Technology Solution website, which is a protected website just for subscribers. The website also has links to webinars which McIlvaine is conducting to analyze various products and processes. The alerts, the webinars, and the whole program provides an invaluable resource for those responsible for the safety of people, the product purchasers, for governments, consultants, and suppliers. So for product purchasers, whether it is a hospital, waiting room, or meat processing plant, there are unique requirements for each of the applications within the facility. The daily alerts have the latest information on technology, which will allow them to make the best choices. And much of this technology has been recently made available or recently applied from other areas. For governments and consultants, they must realize that this is a technology forcing situation where rules and regulations need to be revised due to technology developments. The daily alerts unveil new options. For suppliers, the daily alerts have information on customer requirements, opportunities, and analysis of competitor products. Suppliers also receive lists of prospects and one free recorded interview. Broad forecasts are also supplied with the option for further consulting or packaging this service with others supplied by the McIlvaine Company. We have for decades been involved in forecasting air filtration, fabric filters, other air pollution control areas, and we've had extensive services in the clean room area since the 1980s. So this is an example of one of the alerts. Here's the April 23rd Coronavirus Technology Solutions alert, and here are just the headlines. So cost-effective food processing. Here's APC as a new mask media. Cummins has teamed with DuPont to make masks using respirator technology. Using fuel engine technology, diesel filter technology. And Aquasense has got a disinfection system. Oxalda is into powder coatings that kill viruses, and they have hospital beds coated with a silver in a coating that kills the viruses in a hospital bed. Lots of things going on with the airline designs, airplane designs for combating the coronavirus. And there are some ways probably that the air can be rechanneled from the air vents in an airplane in the laminar flow downward routine. That is a protocol that's required in a clean room. So ExxonMobil has new filtration fabric and mask designs, and also is producing disinfectant. And Porvair is a division of the filtration group, and it's got face shields, but many of the other areas of the filtration group are involved in this program, including making the filters for the HEPA filters and other high efficiency filters. The 27th alert, and you can see each of these alerts can be ranging up to 20 pages in length, and a lot of them are the articles are very detailed. This one actually is a printed analysis of what appeared in one of our extensive 2-hour webinars, and then some things on the Tyson food plant range of mask media designs to be evaluated. So innovative fabrics for the gowns. A lot of the analysis is of capacity in these various different countries, and China's got a huge amount of melt-blown capacity that it just went online. And Procter and Gamble is producing masks. Here is a mask design in that can produce 600 a minute as a relatively small one. And so there's a number of converters that are making mask wipes and gowns. And Johns Manville just started up a face mask media operation. And Sinopec has been a huge factor in this marketplace with 10 lines actually making using up to each one is using over a ton per day of melt blown fiber. And so we have a lot of insights on melt blown capacity, and we've done a lot of work on the viruses being aerolized. And you could search the alerts under any keyword such as filter, and you see some of the examples here that would show up under a search like that, and some of these would be very extensive because again we're having every day we have a 10 to 20 page alert. And here's another search under decontamination. So this is a very convenient way searching any company or any other quick keyword. We have another search method which is by all the headlines in the alert. So if you're looking for a major topic, you're better off just to skim through the headlines in each alert and then pick out the articles of interest. But if you're looking for something very specific like this Aura ring here, which can track the whereabouts and activities and heart rate and everything else and temperature of an individual, then if you're looking for Aura rings, then you're better off to just use this search because of the narrow aspect of your search assignment here. So that is the end of the this one PowerPoint presentation. But what I'd like to show you next is one of the PowerPoint presentations that we've undertaken as part of the webinar segment and series that we have. So this was the technology. Whoops, this is the one we just did here. Let's get back out of that one and ending the show. And we'll get back out of that. See if we can go on to the other one here. Yeah, this was our mask webinar, and we'll see if we can get that from the beginning as well, slideshow, and go from the beginning here. And I'm just going to quickly go through that we, in this webinar that was over 202 hours, we reviewed some of the things that are going on in mask capacity and sterilized and unsterilized, and the reusable masks with nanofibers are now being commercialized on a large scale in China. I think that's going to be a very important aspect. Here is a modest factory in China that is producing these washable, reusable masks with the nanofibers. And China does now feel that that about 3 billion of these masks could be sold a day, and that 300 million Chinese are probably going to end up wearing these masks on a regular basis. So that's going to be a huge number of masks that will need to be produced on a daily basis. And there are a lot of companies with these reusable mask media patents and activities, and are commercial with them as well. And so these reusable media are compatible with various different disinfectant and cleaning methods. And so this is one we did on the masks and the reuse of the masks. And we do think that a lot of these masks are going to be used even in a high scale, fashionable designer stores such as this one, which since 2013 you can walk into that store and buy 28 different types of N95, very well designed, but very expensive, $33 masks, and it's all been tested by U.S. laboratories, Nelson Laboratories, for all these different efficiencies. And there's lots of things going on in the U.S. and how here it is, they've got a lot of activities and masks and things as well. So that kind of gives you a feel of what might be in the mask area there. I'm going to get out of that, and we'll move on to some of the other things I wanted to show you here. One of the things that we did on this panel was that the presentation that you were just looking at was actually one that I gave, and there were a number of other panelists, and one of them was Wallace Leong from Hong Kong, who is developing these nanofiber membranes for masks and for filter media, and has been a leading scientist and developer in this area. And Christine Sun of the president of Waterloo Filtration, who's a key member in this whole filtration industry. And then we have David Schlepp, who is a major expert on decontamination, as is Jim Agaloko. And then Barry Finkel, who's an expert on biotechnology and biopharmaceuticals and everything to do with it, having been an ex-high-level official with Merck. And then here was a presentation by Jeff Mathers of Purafil. So these are pretty solid webinars that we are conducting, and this is one example. In fact, here is our webinar series, and you can take a look at this online. It's right on the front page. You can start looking at some of the webinars that we have been conducting. One thing I would want to mention is that for each of the suppliers, like Pathogen, 3Gen, we are conducting interviews that are recorded, and it's essentially a presentation of their products. So this is one on foot sanitizers, which are having surprisingly good results. And it turns out there's a lot of viruses that are brought into not only hospitals but other healthcare facilities on shoes. So these foot sanitizers are making a big difference. So those are some of our webinars. And let's move back then, I think, to our news release, what I think I want to show you next. In fact, next to the last here. This is our website, and these were those coronavirus webinars that I was just talking to you about. And then our technology solution service. But here are some of the news releases about it that I do think give you a good idea of the extent of what we're doing here. This is just the food industry, and we're tracking all these problems at Smithfield and these other areas, and looking at ways that the foot sanitizers, they're already using the temperature sensing mass exchange really at so that they can be reusing masks, and the plant can be decontaminating them on a regular basis. And then within the plant itself, with UV robots, local air purifiers, wearable intelligence, and a number of other technologies and processes that, and particularly in the food industry, we've learned that locker rooms, lunch rooms, and of course the offices have to also be protected. And we'll just go back one here. And I would like to bring out the two crucial factual errors relative to coronavirus, and one of which is that you're relatively safe if you keep a distance of 6 feet. There's more and more evidence that these very small droplets evaporate into 5-micron droplets or aerosols, and that these aerosols can be carried for hours. And there are more and more studies that have been done that shows that this is the only way some of these very large amounts of contamination could possibly have taken place. So the protection is going to be a good mask. And here's something like this Vogue mask, for instance, which has a valve on it. And there's a lot of controversy on this, but we do think there is going to be a place for people to wear masks with valves, even though it only protects them. But that's something that we're debating on a continuing basis. So we believe that conditions can be improved immediately. With China having all this reusable mask development, as well as greatly expanding their melt-blown capacity, and with plants here in the U.S. and Europe also increasing capacity at a pretty rapid rate, we're very shortly going to be to a point where everybody can be wearing a mask. And there's going to be a big impact on the filtration market. And there's a potential for the air filtration market to increase by very large percentages. You can see from what might be normal to what be a best case scenario, there is a large multiple in filter sales. So it's a huge challenge for the industry. But we see filters being used locally. I mean, for instance, an apartment building where one of the residents tests positive for COVID-19. Certainly, there should be local air purifiers in that apartment and in the area of the person that's testing positive, protect the other family members. But many of these, many buildings, whether it's office buildings or otherwise, have central HVAC systems. And in the case of the Diamond Princess, the central HVAC system carried the virus to people all throughout the ship. And certainly local air purification systems are a way to mitigate that potential. So this is a brief overview of the Coronavirus Technology Solutions service that is offered. And this is Bob McIlvaine, and we certainly welcome any questions that you may have, and also the contributions that you might be willing to make. So thank you very much.